What's up, everybody? My name is Darius and I'm one of the pastors here, and we're in the middle of a series called Still Working on It. I love the title of this series because if we're honest with ourselves, we've all got areas of our life where we're still working on it. If you've been here for the last few weeks, you've heard from a few different communicators about some areas of life that they're still working on. And if you haven't been here, that's okay. If you're here for the first time, thank you. We're so glad that you're here. Right now, I want to share with you some things or some areas of my life where I'm still working on it. See, first of all, I'm still working on being a good husband. I've been married for 12 years to my wife, Nicole, and I want her to see that I treasure her every day of our life together. I'm still working on being a good daddy. I've got 4 kids. And one thing I want them to say when they move out of my house one day is, I had a good dad. I'm still working on being a good pastor. I want to make a difference in people's lives that they remember for the rest of their lives. I'm still working on peeing without getting any on the toilet seat. All right, I'm just playing there, but on the real though, hey, some of y'all dudes need to keep working on that one right there, okay? We've all got areas of our life where we're still working on it because we're all works in progress. And the cool thing is, God wants to help us out in these areas. You see, it's really cool because about 2,000 years ago, Jesus, God's Son, was walking around here on this earth. And one of the things Jesus constantly worked on, he just wanted to make sure he was being a part of changing people's perspective in life. Jesus is constantly working on changing our perspective. And I want you to write that down. That's going to be inside of your notes and your outline, the worship guide you got right there in front of us. Jesus is constantly working on changing our perspective. And I know it might take a second to write that down, but here's the reason why that's so important. Because once someone's perspective changes and they see things differently, they begin to do things differently as well. Now, let me tell you, 2 of my favorite snacks in the whole world are hot Cheetos and Takis, all right? And specifically the purple bag, because the other bags, not so good, all right? But here's the deal. I used to love eating hot Cheetos and Takis, but I stopped eating them for a while. And you want to know why? Well, the reason why is I couldn't stand how they would stain my fingers all the time. It would be frustrating. I mean, I would get all done eating them, be excited, but then I'd go try and wash my hands. And afterwards, just not being able to get that red off my fingers, it used to bother me. So I actually stopped eating them for a while. But over time, my perspective began to change. And I began to see things a little bit differently. And once you see things differently, you begin to do things differently. So, I began to realize that not eating hot Cheetos and Takis, I was just depriving of myself of 2 of the greatest snacks God ever created, all right? So what I started doing was this. I actually began to pour my hot Cheetos or Takis into a cup, all right? Then I would actually take them out of there and just kind of drink them out of the cup, all right? Talk about a win-win situation, right? I still got to enjoy hot Cheetos or Takis, and my fingers weren't all stained red. Hey, God is good, y'all, right? Right? Now, I know for some of you, that's kind of a silly example, Pastor Darius, but here's the deal. I just want you to realize this. When your perspective changes and you see things differently, you'll begin to do things differently as well. What I want to share with you right now is about Jesus, who I was telling you, God's Son, as he was here on this earth, and how he helped change the perspective of some of his closest followers. These are some guys that we call his disciples. I'm going to read this passage to you from Matthew chapter 19, starting in verse 13. Check out what happens. It says, one day, some parents brought their children to Jesus so he could lay his hands on them and pray for them. But the disciples scolded the parents for bothering him. Hey, Jesus, he was like a celebrity back in the day. I want you to imagine your favorite celebrity rolling up to your school campus one day. I mean, I don't know who that is. Maybe John Cena. or Justin Timberlake, Chris Pratt, maybe Jimmy Fallon, maybe some of y'all like a little Steph Curry, maybe Jennifer Lawrence. I don't know, but think about your favorite celebrity. If they rolled up onto your school campus one day, what would you think if your teachers at the school were like, hey, this celebrity is, they're way too important to talk to you students, okay? So here's what's gonna happen. You guys are gonna stay in your class and do what you gotta do, and the teachers are the only ones who get a chance to meet the celebrity and talk to them. That'd be messed up, right? Man, you'd be upset. You'd be like, I can't believe it. Are you kidding me? I can't go meet my favorite celebrity. I'm not important enough to meet him. And that was like what was happening right here. Parents, they wanted their kids to go kick it with Jesus. But the disciples, however, they thought that was a bad idea. They thought Jesus was too important to spend time with kids. In their mind, Jesus was big time. And those kids, they were just kids. So, the disciples, they thought they were doing a good thing. They thought they were doing Jesus a favor by blocking for him. They were like boxing these kids out, right? So these kids wouldn't get all up next to Jesus. They were probably, throwing some bows up in there too, right? Making some space. They thought they were doing a good thing. I can imagine these guys high-fiving each other and fist bumping and chest bumping each other. Oh, you see how I boxed out that kid with the snotty nose, right? Jesus don't want to be around them kids. He ain't got time for that, right? They were all excited about it. But you know what? Jesus saw the situation entirely different than they saw them. Matter of fact, he let them know that their perspective was wrong. I want you to see what that passage goes on to say in Matthew chapter 19, verses 14 and 15. But Jesus said, let the children come to me. Don't stop them. And I like this real quick. Jesus, a lot of people imagine Jesus as some kind of mild-mannered guy. That Jesus was kind of like, let the children come to me. Don't stop them, right? But that wasn't like Jesus. Jesus was a real person like you and I. And Jesus, you can see him kind of getting a little angry with his disciples right here. That sentence, don't stop them, there's an exclamation point. Jesus is like, hey, let the children come to me. Don't be stopping them. Hey, don't do that. And he goes on to say this, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to those who are like these children. And he placed his hands on their heads and blessed them before he left. I love this, guys. Jesus was consistently working on really his disciples' perspective. And just like our series, Still Working on It, Jesus was really working on their perspective when it came to valuing kids. Jesus saw kids as having great value. He loved kids. He cared about them greatly. He didn't see them as himself as too important for them or too important to hang out with them. He saw that being here on this earth, one of the main reasons he was here was really to show kids how much he loved them, to show them how much he cared for them, to show them how much he valued them. He even took the time to bless the kids before he left that area. Guys, I really want you to think about this. This is kind of one of those perspective changes that I want us to have as well. And it's actually your next fill-in. As you're looking at your notes there, I want you to fill this in. Kids are important to Jesus, and they should be important to us too. Fill that in. Kids are important to Jesus, and they should be important to us too. Now notice what I didn't say. I didn't say kids are annoying to Jesus and they're annoying to us. I didn't say that. I didn't say kids are a waste of time for Jesus. Nope. I didn't even say that kids are a nuisance or kids are an inconvenience or kids are a burden. I didn't say any of those things. Kids are important to Jesus and they should be important to us too. Hey, we have an entire kids ministry at our church that we call PVC Kids. That stands for Palm Valley Church Kids. I know a lot of you already knew that, but just helping out a few of the other kids in the room, all right? PVC Kids. So here's the deal. Some of you grew up in that ministry. As a matter of fact, some of y'all been here so long, you got your diapers changed in that ministry. That's love right there. All right, students? The cool thing is this. some of you currently serve in that ministry. If you're rocking your green shirt today because you serve with PVC Kids, hey, props to you right now. As a matter of fact, hey, take a second, pop your collar, nod your head right now. You're doing something right. And I just want to take a minute and recognize that. Here's the deal. I want to thank you for investing into the lives of those kids. We appreciate it. And you know who also appreciates it? The parents of those kids do. You guys are setting an example for the older people at our church for how important it is to serve others. There's this guy in the New Testament, his name is Paul. He lived about a couple thousand years ago, and he wrote a big chunk of the Bible. And there's something that he wrote in a letter to a young guy named Timothy at one time that I really want to share with you. Because I believe that what he said in that letter, it still applies to young people like you guys today. Listen up, students. He says this, 1 Timothy 4:12, don't let anyone think less of you because you are young. Be an example to all believers in what you say, in the way you live, in your love, in your faith, and your purity. I want you to circle where it says, be an example. Circle that, be an example. That's so powerful. When you serve, you guys are an example for older people and other people in our church in general in the way you live, in the way you love, and in your faith. Your actions are speaking loud into the lives of other people around you who may not even currently be serving. Your actions are even speaking loud into the lives of the kids that you are serving. That's why I would love for you to see. And what I really want you to know is it's even more than our students. I would love for you to really just capture this and understand this. Although we have some students serving, I would love to have more of you serving as well. Investing your life into our kids ministry. Our goal in PVC Kids is to show kids God's love and help kids love church. And let me tell you, you can play a huge role in helping us carry out that vision in their lives. You see, you as teenagers, you show kids God's love simply by showing up in their class. Kids are able to see that you care about them when you show up consistently. Because think about it. The people who really care about you, they show up consistently in your life. As well, I want kids to love church. I mean, there's a lot of churches out there with kids who have a drug problem. Do you know what I'm talking about? Hey, that's when your church is so boring, kids have to be drugged to church by their parents, right? Every single week, because they don't want to be there. Hey, we don't want kids at our church to have a drug problem, right? It would be terrible if you saw kids coming to our church just kicking and screaming and yelling, and maybe even cursing or something, and then it had to be like thrown into the kids ministry area because they don't want to be here. That would be terrible, y'all. And we don't want that. We want kids to be excited about coming to church. And here's why. If kids think church is boring, then they'll think God is boring. And that's the last thing we want kids thinking. Man, we want them to come to our church and we want them to see that it is fun and that they can have a good time at church. And let me tell you something. When kids see you teenagers in their classroom, you automatically step up the fun factor for them right away. I mean, some kids love coming to church because teenagers who are just a little bit older than them are there. Teenagers that make church fun. I spoke with a high school student named Carson. And you know what? I was just kind of talking to him a little bit about him serving with kids because he's really good at it. He serves with PVC Kids right now. And he let me know that when he was a kid, one of the students used to serve in his area, and he thought that was so cool. He wanted to help out with the kids ministry so that other kids would have that kind of experience too. By the way, that student Carson was referring to back in the day was none other than our amazing Max Swanson, who now helps out and happens to be on our staff with our student ministry. Let me tell you guys something. Kids love you guys. And you know what? They may not tell you how much they mean to them, how much you mean to them. But I'll tell you what, when you show up every single week, with a big old smile on your face, and you pour out all your energy into making sure they have a good time at church, they leave church with a smile on their face and they want to come back because you're going to be there. Now, some of you, you're just naturally good with kids. I mean, there's this girl in our ministry, her name is Ryan, and I saw her serving in the nursery just a few months ago. She was so natural and so good at connecting with the kids in there. It just made me smile seeing how gifted she was at that. Now, I know that not everyone out there is gifted with kids like Carson and Ryan, but God wants us all to have a heart for the kids He sends our direction. On a personal note, y'all, I have 4 kids who are all in our kids ministry at church. Toriana, Tayshawn, Trustin JC, and True Blessing. And on any given weekend, they cycle around to the different campuses. Some weeks they're in Glendale, some weeks they're in Buckeye, some weeks they're in Goodyear. And let me tell you something about my kids. My kids love when you guys hang out with them and play with them and make church fun for them. So here's the deal, students. I'm challenging y'all to get your serve on in our kids ministry. Help make our kids ministry a place kids love coming to. There's a big movement in our world right now called Go Green. And maybe you've heard that phrase before. It's all about saving our environment and making our world a better place. I want to use that phrase for a slightly different reason. And it's actually my challenge to you guys today. In that place where it says challenge, I want you to fill this in. The challenge for you is go green. Write that down. Challenge for you, very simply, is go green. And why is that? Because green is the color of the shirt you get when you volunteer in our kids ministry at church. When you as teenagers go green, you make our church a better place. That eventually makes our community a better place. And it begins to make our world a better place. If you guys step up and take this challenge to go green, we will have an irresistible kids ministry at our church that kids will love being a part of. I get excited when I see kids running to their class at church. And you know what? We want to always be the church where kids can run in our halls or run up to our classrooms with excitement, because that shows they're having a good time. And if our kids areas are filled with teenagers who love God and love others, who love God and love them, they will be running to their classes every single week. So hey, that's the challenge. I'm throwing it out there because I want you to accept that challenge. And I want you to be blessed seeing God work in you and through you. Let's be a part of making PVC Kids Ministry the best hour of the entire week for every kid who walks through the doors of our church.